The Scarcity Problem: Why We Fear Vulnerability. Brené Brown was giving a talk when someone asked why children today seem so narcissistic. Without thinking, she slipped into a Texas colloquialism. You can't swing a cat without hitting a narcissist. The audience laughed, but the answer bothered her. Because the real question isn't whether narcissism is on the rise. The real question is what's driving it. When Brown looked at narcissism through the lens of vulnerability, she saw something different than what the headlines claimed. She saw a shame-based fear of being ordinary. She saw people terrified that they would never be extraordinary enough to be noticed, to be loved, to belong. The grandiosity, the need for admiration, the lack of empathy, these weren't signs of too much self-love. They were signs of too little. Narcissism, Brown concluded, is a shame-based strategy. And telling people they aren't that special doesn't cure shame, it feeds it. This insight led Brown to ask 3 diagnostic questions that frame the entire problem. First, what are the messages and expectations that define our culture, and how do they influence our behavior? Second, how are our struggles and behaviors related to protecting ourselves? Third, how are these behaviors, thoughts, and emotions connected to vulnerability and our need for a sense of worthiness? The answers led her to a single root cause: a culture of scarcity. Scarcity is the problem of never enough. Not good enough, not perfect enough, not thin enough, not powerful enough, not successful enough, not smart enough, not certain enough, not safe enough, not extraordinary enough. We fixate on what we lack rather than celebrating what we have. We measure ourselves against impossible standards and find ourselves always falling short. The word scarce comes from Old Norman French, meaning restricted in quantity. And in a scarcity culture, everything feels restricted: love, safety, money, resources, belonging. This mindset doesn't just make us feel bad, it makes us afraid. Scarcity thrives on fear, comparison, and disengagement. When we believe there isn't enough to go around, we compete rather than connect. We hoard rather than share. We armor up rather than open up. And the most devastating consequence is this: we become terrified of vulnerability. Here's the contrast Brown discovered. On one side, scarcity thinking. It says, measure yourself constantly, compare yourself to others, prove your worth through achievement, never show weakness, be extraordinary or be nothing. On the other side, wholeheartedness. It says you are enough. Vulnerability is courage. Connection matters more than performance. Belonging is unconditional. Let's pause and let that sink in. The scarcity mindset isn't just a personal problem. It's a cultural framework that shapes how we parent, how we lead, how we love, and how we work. It's the reason we feel anxious when things are going well. It's the reason we chase achievements that leave us empty. It's the reason we hide our struggles and pretend we have it all figured out. Brown's research revealed something crucial about this dynamic. When she asked people what vulnerability meant to them, the answers ranged from the everyday, asking for help, saying no, initiating sex, to the profound, calling a friend whose child died, waiting for biopsy results, exercising in public. Vulnerability is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And in a scarcity culture, that feels like an invitation to be wounded. But here's the paradox. The same people who feared vulnerability also craved it. They wanted to be seen. They wanted to belong. They wanted to love and be loved. The problem wasn't that they didn't want connection. The problem was that they believed they had to be extraordinary to deserve it. So let me ask you, what would change if you truly believed you were enough, not because of what you've accomplished, but simply because you exist? What would you dare to do if being ordinary wasn't a threat, but a starting point?